goes there?
I'm Star-Lord, man.
Who?
Dude, seriously. It's the Dude Seriously Show. Welcome to the Dude Seriously Show. We're here tonight to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. And if this review is anything like the movie, it's going to be a fun one. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Molly.
I am Groot. Ben.
And I'm Mike, also known as the coach.
So, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Galaxy is probably my favorite Marvel movie.
I really didn't know what to expect, and I can remember that opening scene with Star-Lord, and he starts dancing, and you get that soundtrack going, and it was like, this is gonna be special. And I think it took the whole Marvel series in a new direction, made it its own thing.
I really wasn't sure what to expect with it. These were characters who were even more obscure than Thor and Iron Man and Captain America in their first iterations. Yeah. And to some extent, they were pretty obscure when their first movies came out. To me, it felt like they were going off the deep end almost. But the movie just has you fall in love with these characters. And it starts out taking itself so seriously. You know, the abduction scene, and it's like, wow, okay. And then Star-Lord is exploring the cave, and it's like, well, okay, it's like a little bit of like Star Wars meets Raiders here. And then you see the Walkman come on, and it's like, what? And then the headphones come on, ding, 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 and then the logo pops up, and it's like, what is going on here? This is crazy. And the movie is just so fun from that point on.
What I loved about it, too, was the idea of the soundtracks. So we have a future film, but it's set in the past with respect to the soundtrack. And you did talk about going off the deep end, you know, this potential risk they were taking. And it was a late summer because it's an August release, so that's where you kind of see those waning months of summer releases, so you're not taking too much of a risk. And yet, I went on a Thursday night, and I thought, well, you know, not too many people will be there, so I'll just buy my ticket when I walk up. I had to fight for a seat. It was a packed house on a Thursday night.
Same.
Yeah. And not in a town of 150,000, not in a large metropolitan area, but a town of 150,000 in August on a Thursday night, packed house.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Key part of this film, as with any film, I think, no matter how great your actors and actresses are, your screenwriters, your directors, and as a John Carpenter fan, as you know, music is key in the motion picture. And, you know, even the Psycho shower scene, Hitchcock originally didn't want to have any music with that. And it adds so much. In this movie, I think that's what defines it and
it's
really
iconic.
makes it, it makes it so special to have that. And I feel like everybody looks forward when these come out, oh, what's the soundtrack going to be?
Right.
Well, and when you look at like how John Williams sets up a soundtrack, he intentionally sets characters to music and music to characters. He's very intentional with that. So you know it's Leia's theme, Han and the Princess, Vader. You know, even though it's the Imperial March, we think Vader instantly. And for this, these songs became what these characters are.
It tells the story.
It does. It becomes almost its own character in and of itself, but at the same time, underplays it just enough that you go, oh yeah, when I hear this song, that's what I think of as that character of that scene.
Exactly.
Normally, I feel like it's thrown back to just strictly 80s if you're gonna throw it back, or 60s. They skip over 70s music, like all the time. You know, my favorite David Bowie song is Moon Age Daydream off of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, and I was just like, wow, I cannot believe that this song is on this soundtrack right now.
Right, and I love the way that song comes in particular. They're just cruising along. It's like, that's just what they're listening to, you know?
It just all flows so
flows so
well.
well.
And, you know, you say what you want about the previous soundtracks. I don't feel like any of them really stood out. And then we get to this, and it's a game changer.
You know, there are teenagers who are listening to this music now and love it. They're engaged with it. And then there's those who, well, they heard it the first time it was released, and they're brought back into it. So it's a brilliant marketing idea too, to bring a lot of different generations into a film, and then intentionally with the film have these different touchstones of different eras beyond the music. So everybody keys into it, and you get the fish out of water that we always like to talk about. Star-Lord, here he is, and he's, you know, it's a dance-off, man, and it's like,
which is an awesome scene.
It is, and he's dancing like, you know, Michael Jackson, and you're like, okay, I recognize that.
I mean, you really think like, wow, Ronan is going to level this planet. The way that they've built him up too. I mean, he just like handles Drax, just grabs his throat and flips him over with one hand.
Right.
It's like, wow. Ronan is not somebody to mess with. And so,
And he told Thanos straight up, like, what he was going to do. I mean, Thanos.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first time we hear Thanos speak since we saw him at the end of Avengers. And, I mean, his line is almost like a monologue, but it is so good.
Brolin is the man.
Yes, he is.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is he the big brother from Goonies? I mean, it's amazing.
It's called
how he has transformed throughout his career. We'll obviously get to him at another time. But
Yeah. Infinity War, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We're like getting about halfway there with
We
these
are.
reviews, so it's great.
Knocking him out.
James Gunn wrote this film, and James Gunn is just a whole other level of directors in this modern day and age. He just has such a great way of finding a vision, executing that vision, and then just bringing the audience into that vision.
You can tell this man was so passionate about this movie.
Absolutely. And he's coming back for Volume 3 as of this video, which is great. I think it's really nice that he'll be able to wrap up his own trilogy. That's the first time that's happened in the MCU,
Yeah.
that the same director does
True.
the trilogy. I'm really happy that James Gunn is sticking around. I just feel like his mark on the MCU has really helped turn the chapter, really, for taking these films in a new direction that all audiences can enjoy.
Totally.
And it's an important film because it is the bridge to Thanos, which
Exactly.
Right.
is the tantamount character that we're going to be facing off against in Infinity War, which everything has been building to. So if you don't have a connecting piece, which is integral here, because you just can't go from Earth to cosmic world
Right.
back to Earth
Right.
and have nothing there to show for it. Well, now we do. We have these two films, and more importantly, we have the first one,
Yep.
which gives us Thanos, gives us Ronan, gives us another Infinity Stone, gives us the Collector, gives us so many
lot.
different
So
things.
many elements of it.
And yet it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel as though they threw it all in a blender and then hoped it came out well. Somehow he's able to maneuver through all of this very effectively, and the story doesn't seem as though it at any point runs out of steam or is too quick to move on to the next place.
I present to you Tanalir Tevan, the Collector.
The Collector. I love The Collector.
Benicio is the man.
He's
Yeah.
great. He's awesome. And in Marvel MCU lore, he is brothers with the Grandmaster
Yes.
from Thor Ragnarok.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
At the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout ride in California, there's actually a big mural that is the Grandmaster and the Collector playing like space checkers, where the Grandmaster is like flipping up the board and Collector's like looking at him like, wow, whatever. So I've got to see these characters meet at some point.
Absolutely.
Even a 30-second post-credit scene.
Yes.
That would just be the best.
It makes so much sense.
They're
So
both
much
creepy.
sense.
They're both weird.
Their costumes are another thing that are just kind of like totally out there, even for a movie like this.
Oh, absolutely. But that's what's hilarious about it,
That's
because it
what's
looks
so good.
like some kind of weird throwback to like the 60s sci-fi films where they'd meet somebody on some other worldly
Right.
plane and it'd be like, he's wearing a shower curtain.
Yeah.
It's, that glitters.
Yeah.
So when you see that again, it's like, yeah, this is incredible. It's on a multi-million-dollar budget now, but it's like, I love that throwback.
Well, and he gives you kind of more of an update and history on the Infinity Stones. You get that
That's a
aspect
great
in this
point.
movie,
Right.
Which helps a lot
Right.
because you could, as you said earlier, you're connecting to Thanos, and all right, we've established there's Midgard, there's Asgard, but
Yes.
there's a lot more out there.
Virtually every one of these characters is an orphan.
Right.
The standard film is an orphan gets taken in by a family and then raised within that family. Now we have an entire family of orphans.
Wow.
And that is really unique.
I've never thought of it like
Me
that
either.
before, but that is so true.
The orphans.
Every one of them has been cast out of a family. So it's a very, very unique opportunity to watch how those dynamics work.
Right.
They're either looked down upon, oh, you're the science experiment rocket, or you're a gigantic tree,
Right.
or you've lost your mother, and your father's wanting to destroy the whole galaxy. I mean,
Yes.
it's
They're all outsiders in a way, and that movie, without being cliche, tries to touch on you're still yourself and you've got lessons to learn, but at the same time, it's like those friends become your family. And
Absolutely. It's a great story.
Rocket Raccoon and Groot. The biggest risk for this movie. A lot of the jokes, and I am to be held responsible for having this. Whenever I saw the first trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to see Iron Man next to a talking raccoon and a walking tree. Marvel's gone off the deep end. I really thought that. I thought if there was a film from Phase 2 that I would erase, it would be Guardians. Of course, that was before seeing it, because afterward, they knocked it out of the park.
for instance, like seeing Olaf in the preview for Frozen, that made me extremely nervous, and I will say exactly the same thing for Guardians of the Galaxy. But this is one example where that kind of weirdness works. Rocket understanding Groot is probably the funniest thing of the entire, dynamic between the two.
Well, he's Chewbacca and Han Solo,
Right.
really. I mean, that's what it is, because only Han understands Chewbacca. And it's that, I mean, when you think about it, you go back to 1977, you start releasing trailers with this as, Princess Leia called him this walking carpet. What is this hairy, beast walking around like some kind of monster out of the woods? And then, hey, you got this guy that understands him, and they have fun with it. Now, Rocket's like the old Han, already cantankerous. He's not the young Han who's
Right.
having fun with Chewbacca, but he's still the same kind of, gunslinging kind of character. Because what's he go for as soon as he can get it? Biggest gun in the room.
He's the loudest one too, but I never think for 1 minute that that's Bradley Cooper,
Right.
that's Vin Diesel.
Oh,
I
no.
really think it's
No,
like
not at all.
that is real, and I think that adds so much to it that you can take away who's really voicing them, and it's like these are real good characters.
Right, it's hard to picture the actors who are playing those characters as those characters. Like
I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the prison breakouts.
Love it, love it.
At this point, we've seen a nice, healthy characterization of all of the Guardians, even Drax, holding the guy up with the knife and everything. And we realize that the team is going to have to work together if they want to get out. They're not friends yet, they're not family, but they know that their only chance of getting out is
Together.
exactly. So Rocket lays out the whole plan and says, but we have to get this specific piece last. And if you watch in the background, Groot is reaching up and grabs it, and as soon as he says it, he yanks it out. You get to see everybody in their element. Quill is off doing the funny thing, and Rocket and Groot.
I'm laughing and going, yes, at the same time, because you've got this giant tree and this little raccoon just... It was
And that's
great.
what drew me in, though, because I didn't really have a negative thought about Groot or Rocket. Honestly, I was just like, I'm in with these guys from seeing the trailer.
A raccoon on the other side of space in the
Talking.
same universe as Iron Man
Yes.
and the Punisher.
That's a great point.
Just got a gun that's bigger than him in slow-mo and said,
Oh, yeah.
that is where we are, ladies and gentlemen, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
As my father has said about Rocket, there ain't a thing that man can't do.
It's so true.
We love you, buddy.
Don't call me a raccoon!
Wow, okay, well, they didn't tell me that at the store.
Maybe he's tired of being in the helmet. I don't know.
I would imagine. It's probably a little cramped in there.
maybe a little
So-
sweaty.
Oh.
Do raccoons sweat?
Do raccoons sweat? Do
I
they-
would
do
ask
they
him,
sweat?
but it doesn't go over well.
Well, since he's
apparently.
not like a raccoon, maybe he does sweat.
True.
But I don't know. The raccoons don't sweat, so who knows? So it's something to think about.
Maybe
for
in
later.
the second volume review, we can
Yes,
about
we could
it.
establish,
We
we
can
can
establish
establish that.
Yeah.
I mean, it does go sleeveless. I mean, I don't know. Is there
Yeah.
something to be said about that?
Maybe that there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason for it.
I appreciate the fact, too, that they understand we don't know these characters necessarily. So when the Nova police apprehend them and they are, being tallied up for prison, they bring them each through the line. A very classic scene that we've seen a million times in any number of police films or police dramas. It's, okay, here they go. Turn left, turn right, smile, and we get each character's breakdown
And it flows so great.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Right.
kind of see their individual personalities a
Yeah.
little bit when they get introduced on the screen,
Yes.
their mannerisms. And
Yeah, you get a taste
that.
of everybody, and in a tasteful way. It's not forced. It's not, they're, shoving it down your throat, what they're trying to convey about these characters.
Right.
Which, we've seen a little bit of that up until that point.
One thing I have to talk about, or I would hate myself, is Michael Rooker in this movie.
Oh my gosh, how have we not talked about this
That
yet?
character. Boy! Oh, he's great. Gotta love him.
He's
and
so awesome.
the weapon he has, I would argue it's almost
Oh.
almost as great as Mjolnir is the greatest weapon in the Marvel Universe.
It's pretty impressive, and that's kind of what I was watching it. I was just like, this is incredible, and he's doing it by whistling. One of the funny things about that is not all humans can whistle either. It's
Right.
like not only do you have to, be able to whistle, but you have to be good at that, and you
Right.
have to be able to control this thing. And the glowing red with the mohawk type thing, it's
cool. Oh, yeah.
hysterical. It adds a funny element to this otherwise very sinister, thing that he's using as a weapon.
Yeah.
And Michael Rooker basically just kind of playing himself, but blue and a little more extreme is just it's just one of the greatest parts of this entire film.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's intentional by Gunn because again, there's so many homages throughout the film. They're wearing. He's got the trench coat and it's almost the duster. So you have this Wild West character. He's whistling. I kind of think of the good, the bad, and the ugly as
Yeah.
this is all occurring, and he's taking down all the bad guys in the street, and enough coffins for all of them, so to speak.
And you learn that in the second one, it's all from the heart.
That's
How
right.
Yeah.
he does it.
Yep.
I could
right.
just see Ant-Man on Yondu's arrow, and as they're flying, he's throwing those discs. Boom, that thing's small now. Boom, that thing's huge now.
awesome.
That would be the coolest thing ever.
It really would be. It would fit so well too with the Infinity War. I mean, but again, like you said, it's a missed opportunity perhaps because he's not going to be resurrected anytime soon.
And if
Right.
all else fails, we got Hawkeye.
That's right.
So
Yep. Who's awesome.
he is.
Yes.
But man, have we gotten off topic. If we're talking about Hawkeye in a Guardians of the Galaxy episode,
Hawkeye.
I just always harken back that the Guardians are in the same universe as the Punisher. While Rocket Raccoon and Groot are running around, seeing Stan Lee up on a bridge hitting on some woman, the Punisher is brutally murdering people back home.
It's a
Maybe-
big galaxy.
Hey,
It sure is.
there's your new buddy film. You got Drax, whose family was killed. You have the Punisher. Bring those two together. Let's make a movie.
There you go. 2020 coming out.
And in the sequel to that, I want Korg to join their ranks.
Perfect.
I know, right?
Absolutely perfect. Now it's like the
Perfect.
Lethal Weapon films when they're starting to add in
Exactly.
like Joe Pesci.
Korg would be Joe Pesci.
It would be.
Hey.
I got this. Yep.
Perfect. Marvel, if you're watching, these are our demands.
Royalties, please.
The royalty would be getting the movie for me.
It'd be nice to get paid, too.
It would be, because that's a pretty original thought.
Well, as tradition, every time you're on the show, we've got to hear your Stan Lee impression.
I didn't actually get a speaking part, but I was seen through a pair of high-tech equipment socializing with a beautiful woman. And I got paid for it. Excelsior!
And with that, we're going to wrap on Guardians of the Galaxy. We loved this movie. It was awesome to rewatch. It was awesome to talk about. And we're getting that much closer to Infinity War. So, dude, seriously, thanks for tuning in tonight. And we'll see you next week for Age of Ultron.
Oh, am I supposed to do something?
Leave that in. Please leave that in. That's great. I think that's awesome. It's like, I'm supposed to do something?
All right. This is the first original film of Phase 2. And, wow.
Dude.
We'll do that again.
Seriously.
Three,
Dude, seriously.
2.